game outside, bro. Ha, ha. And then boom, and I grab my tits and feel.
And your eyelash is kind of funny, actually.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie, and today we are back with another mukbang. Woo! My voice today, I'm so sorry. It's already annoying as it is, but today, biz, I sound like I'm going through puberty, and I'm a boy. I don't know what's going on. My voice was cracking. I sounded like I was nervous around my first girlfriend, and biz.
Wait, what?
So today we are going to be eating a giant Shake Shack feast. I'm so freaking excited. I've been craving this for like weeks. Here we have a double smoke, the ultimate Shack burger. It has a beef patty, has a fried mushroom portobello, cheese stuffed, fried, and then all of the veggies on top, and then 3 of the shoom burgers. I got the same one because I have some cheese. I'm at Dunkin' in this cheese that I also put on 3 servings of fries, so I'm super excited, and let's just dig it. I've just been wanting something. Sometimes you just need some cheese in your life. Like right now.
So good.
We're so quiet. We're like so into this. Okay. I'm gonna try this one. Okay, gotta get a good bite.
Are you gonna have that one, or should I? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, you got this one for me? You want more pickles? More
I just
pickles
like the
for
fried
you?
cheese in this one. Like that's why I got so many of these. So good.
Literally, when they came in with that little box, I was
Onions.
like, "What is this?"
Yeah, it looks so fancy, right? I've never been this excited. I don't know what's going on. It is a little bit late right now. I am a little bit tired today, but I'm pumped for this food. This food, as I'm shoving it in my mouth, I'm orgasming and simultaneously sucking the energy out of this burger into my soul. It's literally feeding my soul right now. That's how good this food is. And that was poetic. I am Shakespeare. Wow. We got some mustard and ketchup down here. And we're just gonna hop right into the story, okay? Because this story is a doozy. It's a wild one. Every single second where you feel like, hey, Stephanie, that's it. I'm a smart person. I fully understand what's going on here. I'm going to tell you, no, you don't, biz, okay? Because every twist and turn, something else is happening. Something new is evolving, and you are just left with a puddle of your own emotions and some Shake Shack grease in your hair. And we're just... let's get into it.
In your hair, boo.
This story takes place September 29th of 2015, not too far long ago, in Albany, New York. No, is it Albany? Something New York. It's the suburbs of New York. Very quaint, almost countryside. No, I think Albany's a little bit more poppin'. It's a suburb that's poppin'. But this one is like in New York State.
Don't listen to Stephanie's like geographic description because it's never correct.
I'm pretty sure Georgia is like right next to LA, okay?
Every day you say, "Oh man, that's the safest place," and people was like, "Nope, that's
I
one of the
know,
dangerous
damn it.
place
I
in there."
saw that. I was like, oh. Mm. 911 dispatch officers. Middle of the night. Usually not a lot of stuff is happening in this town, so they're not really busy, okay? Suddenly gets a call from a husband who's freaking out. He's frantic. He says his name is Thomas Clayton, and now I'm pretty sure the 911 dispatcher knew exactly who he was the minute that he said, "My name is Thomas Clayton," was freaking out. "My wife is dead. My wife is dead." And so the 911 dispatch officer is like, "Okay, sir, you need to calm the fuck down because I need to help you right now, right? How do you know she's dead? Like, did you check her pulse?" He goes, yeah. The 911 dispatcher goes, "Okay, is she beyond CPR?" Meaning,
what does that mean? Like, have you tried CPR for her?
No, meaning she's so dead, there's no point in doing CPR. right? And Thomas Clayton goes, yes. And the 911 officer goes, why do you believe she's beyond CPR? And he says these chilling words that just shook me.
I killed her.
No, just trust me. I need to give you a little bit of background information on Thomas Clayton and why you shouldn't trust him. Thomas Clayton, the reason that I said that the 911 dispatch officer probably knew of Thomas Clayton is not because Thomas Clayton is like this massive criminal who just is always in trouble with 911, is always calling 911. That's not the reason. The main reason is he was kind of like a small town celebrity.
Okay.
Like, when I say this was a small town, I mean this was a small town. There was so much space in between houses that if something was going down in your house was burning down, your neighbor probably wouldn't notice for a minute, right? That's how, like, just countryside it was. And the one thing that kind of brought the entire community together was this little league hockey team. I apologize. It's not Little League. It's Junior League. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hey, honey. You want to see something cool? You like that cheese ball?
Very cool.
Junior League hockey team, okay? And this was the thing that brought the entire community together. Like, literally everyone would travel like 30, 40 minutes from their house to go watch their little town's team play.
Like they were really famous or something?
Oh. I'm trying to think of like what the equivalent would be here, but it's not like the Lakers, you know? Way too big. Do I have a boogie?
I don't think it's a boogie.
That's really gross.
It's really gross.
And Thomas Clayton wasn't the best player. He wasn't the worst player, but everybody knew him because he was one of the most aggressive players. Not in a bad way, not in the sense that he's like, oh yeah, dude, I'll F you up. Let's take the game outside, bro. Like, he wasn't like that, but he was very aggressive when he was playing. He was always getting foul plays. He was always being physically aggressive on the field. And you know what? That makes for a good-ass game, not gonna lie.
Is it really?
Yeah, like when you watch athletes, you want someone who's a little aggressive. You don't want them to be so like, that's why I can't really watch golf. It's like not that I want you guys to beat each other up, but it's so like, you know, everybody's just, another one hits, you know, but then like football is like, ha, ha, and then boom, you know, like that's what people love, and that's why people love Thomas Clayton. Because
so he's a good player, not a bad player.
Yeah, but he's not the best player, but he was known for like making it a show. Like people really enjoyed watching him play. And one of those people goes by the name of Kelly. Now, Kelly went to one of the games and watched him play and immediately thought, damn, he's cute. And like his confidence was just oozing, you know? Like, you gotta be confident to be that aggressive on the field, right? So good.
I'm guessing that's a future wife?
Sorry. So, after the game, they go to a bar. Now, she's with one of her close girlfriends. He's with the team. They're drinking. And her friend goes up to Thomas Clayton and says,
Hey, are you single?
and he goes,
Depends who's asking.
right?
Whoa.
And then she's like,
Oh, my friend.
and he goes,
The blonde one?
and ever since then, their relationship formed. That's how they hit it off. Since then, they were pretty much inseparable. And it was kind of weird because Thomas Clayton, he was always known for having a lot of girls around. Like, he was that popular in this small town. He was so popular that he had groupies in a small town. And he had this charm of making women feel like you are the only one he's talking to.
But he's a player.
But everybody, including Kelly's own sister, said, but you know what? He changed. He changed for Kelly. He loves Kelly. They loved each other so much. They had such an amazing family. After years of dating, finally, in 2006, they decide, you know what? Boo, it's only you and me. It's only Thomas and Kelly. This is the Thomas and Kelly show. Let's get motherfucking married.
Wait, you said 2016?
2006.
Oh,
I
got it.
apologize. In 2006, they end up getting married. And the year after they get married, things kind of fall apart. But do they really? It's confusing. So he injures his leg and he no longer can play hockey, ice hockey. So his career in ice hockey ended. But now I know what you're thinking. Oh, Stephanie, we've heard this story before. Man loses his job. Woman's the breadwinner. Man can't find a job. You know, weird power struggles happen in the house.
Yeah.
No. He was very successful. He owned a bunch of rental properties. He was renting it out. He was like an operations manager. Like, they were doing so well. They just had bought their dream house. They had 2 kids. One was a daughter named Charlie, who was the eldest.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a little son named Cullen.
Okay. How old are they?
Charlie in 2015 is 7.
Okay, so they, okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
very
So they
young.
had a kid right after they got married.
Mm-hmm. So again, it's not what you're thinking. It's not your typical struggle like that. Everyone was like, damn, they're doing so well. It's like such a perfect family. And like there's even pictures of them. So cute. Literally looks like, I don't know, just like a fairy tale. But nothing's perfect, especially relationships. We've learned that, and so we must investigate what is wrong with Thomas and Kelly's relationship. There was a few things that were wrong, but they weren't drastically wrong. They made a ton of money. Now, Thomas had a penchant for gambling. He kind of liked gambling a little bit, and his poison was poker. Like, he just really liked playing poker. But it wasn't to the extent that he would go to casinos and just play poker all night, but he would go on Mondays with his, like, you know, like a small group of friends to his friend's house to play poker. So
Yeah.
it didn't seem that serious. Is that even really a bad thing, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my god. What the heck? This burger fell apart. He likes poker, and she kind of likes spending money, but it wasn't something crazy. She wasn't buying Chanel bags on a monthly basis or anything like that, okay? But they made a lot of money, and they spent a lot of it, but they weren't going in debt. This is where everything falls to shit. This is kind of the buildup. This is the lead up. This is what was confusing for me, because usually when couples and things like this happen of this nature, people are like, I saw it coming. You usually get a couple people, specifically the victim's family, at least, right? Or the victim's family's friends, or, you know, the victim's friends.
Yeah.
But everybody was like, this is all we knew about them. This is the love story that we knew. So we don't understand what happened, why it happened, what? So September 29th, 2015, before he makes that 911 call, allegedly he was at a poker game at his friend's house. And we're going to call them the Millers because it's a couple. It's a husband and a wife, the Millers, and they host poker every Monday. So he was there, he was playing poker. His wife, Kelly, was home with the 2 kids, Charlie, who was 7 at the time, Colin, who was pretty much, I believe he was like very small, like can't really talk or walk.
Okay.
And that was their usual Monday schedule. So when he drives home and he goes inside, he sees one of the most horrific things. And there's literally footage of this. That's the creepier part. I'll get into that. So he goes into his house,
Yeah.
blood all over the walls. This is a crime scene unlike any other. I don't know if it's because I personally could see it, not personally in person, but I saw it online, like the videos of the crime scene.
Yeah.
But I can't even describe to you the feeling that I was feeling. Like it just makes me like stressed out right now just thinking about it. Like this blood all over the walls. There's an apparent falling down the stairs where the victim, Kelly, she had her entire head go through the wall because someone had dragged her / pushed her. It was bloody. It was a shit show. It was a mess, right? So he comes home to that. He starts freaking out, immediately calls 911, goes over to a neighbor's house. The neighbor's waiting outside, and the neighbor's freaking out, right? Everybody's freaking out.
Why's neighbor waiting outside?
Like outside the house, because I'm sure he saw it a little and was like, I can't be in there, because it was making everybody sick. Even the officers who showed up, it was making them sick. Like, this is a crime scene unlike any other.
But how was she murdered?
I'm gonna tell you. So that's when he places the 911 call, okay? Kind of a creepy call. I don't know if it's creepy in hindsight. You guys let me know if you guys have dealt with cases like this or dealt with, like, actually calling 911.
Oh, Stephanie calls it once a week.
But I thought it was kind of creepy that he asked if she'd be on CPR, because usually it's like, okay, can you perform CPR?
Yeah.
But I think it's also creepy that he didn't even try.
Maybe like she's, I don't know, like her throat is cut and.
Yeah, but I don't know.
That's why I wanted to know what kind of.
So that's when the
death.
911 call came, right?
Is it bullet? Is it knife? Is it stab?
This is when we see the crime scene, because the officer on duty at the time, the sheriff, he came in and he had recently, the timing was so insane on this, he had recently had installed a body cam footage camera, and he decided, okay, on the way to being dispatched, he couldn't explain what it was, because he's had this camera on his body for a little while, and at the time in 2015 in New York, in this specific area, like it wasn't like everything you do, your body cam has to be on, right? So he would turn it on and off. And he just, something inside of him was like, turn on your body cam footage. So he turns it on, pulls up to their driveway, enters the house. Before he enters the house, the neighbor's outside going, oh man, it's bad in there, right? So he's expecting, okay, probably a little bit of blood, probably she's passed out, right? Goes inside, and he's looking around, and you can see it too, because it's on his chest, the camera, and it's so creepy. Blood down the stairs like this. It's not even, like splatters of blood. It's like hand blood. Like, that's what it looks like. It looks like, no. And then like, and she was in the kitchen. Thomas was holding his wife, Kelly, in his lap in the kitchen floor. She was very much deceased. There was no way to save her at this time.
What about the kids?
Kids were safe.
They were home? So they must know something, right?
We'll get into that. So the officer immediately sees this, and he goes, okay, tell me exactly how you came home, what you came home to. And he goes, I came home from poker. My daughter, Charlie, she's 7. She comes running up to me, and she goes, Daddy, we've been robbed. And the police goes, okay.
That's the first thing the kids say?
Place has been robbed. The robber tried to hurt mommy. You know, like kids, they can't really articulate that well at 7. And this becomes pertinent to the story, right? And so the cops' number one thing, though, is because Thomas Clayton is holding his dead wife's body. That's not just, oh, she passed out, she's dead now, but just cut up everywhere through like an axe or something, right? Holding her body on the kitchen floor. The officer is like, dude, you can literally hear him say in the video, you don't need to see this any longer. Go over here. You're just traumatizing yourself more. Like, what are you doing, right? So he's just trying to take Thomas out of this situation, because that's his wife on the floor right there. Takes him out the situation, and then he realizes, holy shit, if there is a robber, the robber might still be here. So he rounds up everybody in the house, takes him to the back of the patrol car, and you can kind of see Thomas, and he's like, oh man, I can't sit still. Like, I feel lightheaded. Oh man, why can't I sit still? Like, just kind of a little bit weird. He said it wasn't normally what's done in a situation like this. Usually it's devastation. No, he was. He was hysterical. He was a mess. But it was a weird, like, you know those people who are like, when they're crying, they're like, I have a headache. Oh my head hurts. Oh my god, my eyeballs. Oh my throat's cold. You know, and
like they're telling people.
Yeah, and like, why can't I just be calm? You know, and then it's like, because your wife is dead, you know you can't. But then usually when you see your spouse in that situation, no one can console you. You're on the ground. You're just wailing. Some people say that seeing a loved one dead, you make these sounds that you don't even realize you can make. They're not even just, they're like these like primal like pain. You
Yeah.
can't describe it. So the officer's like, this is a little weird, right? He keeps just telling me that he can't sit still because, oh man, you know?
He's trying to force it to be.
Yeah, like very dramatic, but not even in a good way. So he's like, okay, well, first of all, let's just go with his theory. Let's just make sure the entire house is clear. So he calls for backup. They go into the house. They clear every single room. And once the backup comes and every single room has been cleared, the officer decides, no, the story doesn't add up. Because there's no sign of forced entry. And you can literally see this officer make this like connection in his brain in real time.
Oh, as his body cam was like.
Yeah,
going
because
through
he's
the house?
looking through like the entries. None of them are open.
Also,
None
you
of them
say-
are pried open. Windows are fine. Backup comes. Backup goes, okay, so do we have any suspects? And then like Thomas is right outside, so he goes, the husband.
No.
Yeah.
And all these is like literally going
On his
on with the
body
camera.
cam. Yeah, and he goes, the
Holy
husband.
shit.
The husband. They think it's a domestic abuse situation because, I mean, there's no sign of entry. And robbers come to rob you, not to kill you.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
leave blood everywhere.
Yeah. It just didn't make sense for him. Usually, if a robber sees you, like if you get caught and you're robbing a house, they might kill you. But usually they don't. And if they do, it's very clean. Not like they're super skilled. But it's not like this violent, passionate, dragging you down the stairs, you know, making you feel every inch of pain possible. It's not like that usually.
Yeah.
This is when Tom decides, oh my God, I have to call Kelly's sister. Like, while he's waiting outside, okay? So he calls the sister shows up, and she's even giving interviews about this after the fact. And you can hear her on the body cam. And, like, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you get some of Thomas on the body cam reacting to the murder, and he saw her body. He held her body, right?
Yeah.
And it's sad. It seems hysterical, but something about it is like, I can't breathe, right? And then when her sister comes, Kelly's sister, the wife's sister, the victim's sister,
Yeah.
you can hear her, and she hasn't even seen the body. She has no idea what's just happened, but she's hysterical, not in a same way. She's, where's my sister? Like, she's like truly like, I don't know if it's because I have a sister, you know, but I could be like, damn, I feel the freaking pain, right? And that's so sad. So then they have to explain to her what happened. She said that when she walked in there, like, it was lit up like Christmas in this countryside town of New York. So she wasn't expecting that. It was so many lights in the middle of the night. She thought that Kelly would have been in an ambulance. Maybe something happened. Maybe she had passed out.
You mean lit up from police?
Yeah, in all the ambulances. She had no idea that she had been murdered. She thought worst case scenario, she was passed out, you know. She was getting treated in an ambulance.
The husband didn't tell her?
No. What's even creepier? One of the detectives on this case, I believe he was one of the leading detectives on this case. He was questioning Thomas about that night as well. A lot of people were, like detectives.
Yeah.
And before he left the crime scene, he was backing out with his car with the windows undone. And Thomas looks at him and goes, by the way, my truck has GPS, so you can make sure I was at the poker game tonight.
No.
And so it just came out of nowhere. It wasn't like they were just having a conversation. He probably had a conversation, walked away, did some work, did some investigating, did some snooping, and then came back and was like, all right, I think I'm done. I gotta go back to the office. And Thomas is like, by the way, check my GPS, ho.
That's really stupid. Because at that point, nobody's even told him that you're a suspect, right? I guess when you're in such a stressful environment, you just forget some of the things.
But what he said was weird is that if Thomas had nothing to do with the murder of his own wife, then more than that, he would be saying, here's my list of suspects.
Yeah, exactly.
Usually that's what spouses do when
Exactly.
their partner has been murdered is, oh my God, at work they have a coworker that hates
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
It's, where were they today? You know? It's not, oh, well, I was at the poker game, you know?
Yeah, oh,
Very
yeah.
creepy. Once the sun rose, I don't even think it was like the next day because this was happening after midnight, right? So once the sun was up and it was a reasonable time, the police start their investigating work where they call in witnesses, they call in people, they ask around, they verify the alibi. So important. So they go over to the Millers, knock on their door. They're let in by the Millers, very nice couple, and they're just telling them, yeah, he was at the poker game, we love him, he's such a good person. He's honestly just what he was like when he was playing ice hockey. He's super goofy, he's kind of aggressive, but very goofy. Like, he's just overall a clown, okay? So then they're thinking, they even asked them straight up, do you think that he could have done this? And they go, no, absolutely not. There's no way that he could have done that. And, you know, even if he could have, right? Maybe we don't know him that well, but we think we do. But let's say we don't. He was here Monday. And so the police go, okay, so was there anything weird that he did when he was here on Monday? What time did he leave? And they go, well, he left at a normal time, and, like, the police tracked it, and it was the time of the murder. Like, he didn't leave. Like, he was still at the Millers.
Okay.
When Kelly was murdered.
That's
so
weird.
Then they're like, okay, so explain his attitude. And the Millers are like, well, I don't know if we're looking too into this now because you're asking us, but I do remember him being not as goofy. He didn't even play that many games. He just kind of sat on the side fidgeting a little bit. And they were like, but there's no way. Like, we love Thomas. He's so good to us. We've been friends for a while. So, I mean, this is so sad. This is so traumatizing, but we don't think it's Thomas.
Yeah.
So then the police say, okay, thank you for your help. And then they go on to their next witness. And the next witness is the only eyewitness to this entire case.
The neighbor?
And it is none other than Thomas's very own 7-year-old daughter, Charlie. So they bring in Charlie, and there's literally footage of this too. It's so insane. Her face is blurred. She's brought into like an interrogation room where they have drawings. She can color on the table, and this is so fascinating to me.
She can
it's
color
sad.
on the table?
Yeah. Like, there's like pen and paper, so she can kind of doodle, so it doesn't seem serious. But there's like 2 police in the room, right? Everything's being recorded, and I didn't know this. This is so crazy to me. In order to take a child's response and witness and bring it to court, is that you have to establish the fact that a child knows between truth and a lie and right and wrong. So they always, first off, start off by asking, what's a truth?
That is so interesting.
And what's a lie? And then you have to establish the fact that they understand that if they lie, there's consequences. So it's not just you know what a truth is and what a lie is, but you have to know that lying is bad and you will get in trouble if you lie. So then they probably will be like, okay, then I can't lie, right? So then they establish that she passed on all terms. She knew right, wrong, truth, lie, consequences. She knew all of that. She's a very smart cookie at 7. So then this is when they start questioning her. And this is so creepy because it was also caught on camera. And at this point, nobody told her her mom had passed.
What?
The police couldn't tell her.
Wait, she was
because
home.
she's the only witness. She has no idea. So she saw a little bit of what happened to her mom, and her mom, well, I'll get into the story. So they go, okay, Charlie, so what happened, right? And she says, well, this man in jeans and a black t-shirt with a mask on came into the house, and he had this stick thing, and he was hurting mommy, and he was hurting her a lot, and mommy kept fighting, and mommy kept yelling my name, right? And so then she said she peeked out her window and saw this guy hitting mommy, and she kept saying, Charlie, run, right? And so then Charlie ran into her little brother's room to make sure that she could take her little brother with her, but then ended up getting scared and stayed in that room, right? That's why she didn't see the rest of it, because she was trying to protect her little brother.
A 7-year-old though, that's like
But you know what's even crazier?
1st and 2nd grade, right?
The police realized that the reason that there was so much blood everywhere, so much DNA everywhere, was because Kelly was fighting to her last breath to make sure she could stall time for her kids to leave.
Oh my gosh.
Because if she immediately died, the killer would go on to the next room and the next room, right? So she was making it hard. So she was running around, doing the best she can, making sure Charlie ran away.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That gives me chills, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's such a mom thing to do. Charlie's like, yeah, it was really scary. I could see that she was suffering a little bit. I think she was too young or either too much in shock to connect the dots. And then the police ask, okay, so do you know, do you remember anything, how he looked like?
Yeah.
I get that he was wearing a mask. And then she goes, he looks like my dad.
What?
Yeah. And so the police literally are like, what? But they don't say that.
This
They're
was
just
on
like,
camera?
yeah, no. What do you mean they look like your dad? And this was even creepier. And this was asked because she kept referring to the robber as a he, right?
Yeah.
He did this, and then he went down the stairs with mommy, and then he did this, which, okay, maybe if you're like 23, you could differentiate between a he or a she in a mask, but usually 7-year-olds, like, I don't know, like, right? So they kept just wondering, like, why? How do you know it's a he to even begin with? Like, was he super tall? Was he muscular? Like, what defines in a 7-year-old's brain, oh, this is a man in a mask, not a woman?
Correct.
So then she goes, oh, he had eyes just like daddy.
Oh my god.
And daddy's a guy, so it must be a guy. And so then they go, okay.
This is so freaking creepy. Mm-hmm. But in her mind, she doesn't know if it was dad. She thought it was a stranger that looks like dad.
Well, maybe. Listen to this. So then they go, okay. Why do you say it looks like daddy? And she goes, well, he has that ski mask.
Oh my god.
Like, I think he used it for something legal. I remember reading that there was, like, a logical reasoning. It wasn't just, like, the creepiest ski mask ever that someone purchased. Maybe he goes snowboarding and it gets cold. I don't know, right? There was a reason.
So if the girl thinks it was dad, the mom definitely knows or can tell it's him. Then how come the mom didn't, like, scream anything? Like, stop, Thomas. What are you doing, Thomas? Right? If she screamed something like that, the kid would definitely know.
Good question. We'll get to it.
Okay.
And then here was the final question that really creeped me out. I think they asked a couple more questions, but this one was like, oh my god, and I grabbed my tits in fear, okay? So they straight up asked her, did the robber say anything to you? Say anything to your mom? Like scream at your mom? Scream at you?
Yeah.
And then she goes, no. And they go, why do you think that is? And she goes, probably because if it was daddy, I would recognize his voice and I would know it's him.
Oh my god. So she thinks it's him.
Yeah. And the interview ends with her asking the police one question. Where is mommy? Yeah. They couldn't tell her because at that point, if they told her, she wouldn't have helped them, you know? And it's like, I kind of understand it. Like, it's like, I think they told her immediately after, like a day later. It wasn't then, like family was around, like the mom's sister was around and stuff, like so she could get support. But I think it's also like, I would want that too. If someone had killed me, I would want you to hide it from whoever was there for at least a day or two until you can find out more about the killer. Because, you know, you finding out a day earlier isn't going to make me less dead. You know, I'd rather you find the killer than, like, you know, an extra 24 hours in advance. So,
yeah.
I kind of get it, but maybe it's because I'm not a mom, so I don't really get it. You guys leave it in the comments. If you're a mom, would you just be so upset if they hid it from your kid? Or do you agree with me? Leave it in the comments. So...
But how does he do it if he wasn't there?
So they do arrest him. She was one of the key witnesses to getting a arrest warrant out for her own dad, right? He was arrested within 24 hours of the crime, but it still didn't answer the question, and the police knew that they couldn't have holded him for long. They could never take this to court if they couldn't prove how could he be in two places at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So they start doing some more digging. They talk to all the family members. And at this point, this entire case had blown up. It had blown up. This is Thomas Clayton. This is a neighborhood celebrity. Now he's in jail for the murder of his own wife. Like, people are confused. People are gossiping. And you know who stands by him? Callie's sister, Callie's family. They go, listen, it's a misunderstanding. It's a mishap. We believe that he truly would never have done anything to hurt my sister. He loves my sister, right?
Is that odd to them? To people? No? Just that they really love him?
Yeah. But I don't even blame them.
Yeah.
You know? Because everything they were showing to the world, like, they did seem like they loved each other. But,
Okay.
and then they get a lucky break. They actually get 2 really lucky breaks, the police. One from the Millers, the couple who was hosting the poker night. They come back to the police station, and Mrs. Miller, she's shaking. She shooketh in her boots, right? And she's like, oh my God, I knew it was weird. I knew it was weird. I can't believe I didn't say anything. I can't believe I didn't realize this. It was just a small detail. It's so creepy, right? And so the police are like, okay, Mrs. Miller, you need to calm down and tell us what the hell is happening, right?
Yeah.
She's with her husband. They're holding hands, and she's like, so I all of a sudden, one night after you guys left, I just kept replaying that night over and over again in my head because I was confused. And I remembered, oh my God, Thomas Clayton had asked to borrow my phone for a little bit. And so I forget what he was doing. He said he just had to make some calls. I saw him dial a number, and he was on the phone very briefly. And then I don't remember anything else. I got the phone back. I didn't keep track of him. It wasn't super long. And then I told my husband about this, right? And he said, well, darling, go look on your phone and see who he called.
Yeah.
She went down to Monday night, and the
Deleted?
records were deleted. And she goes, I didn't even know you could delete phone calls. So sure enough, the police go through into the phone company system, and they find that there was a phone call made, 2 actually, to an unknown number. Right? They eventually track this unknown number down to somebody that Kelly's family had suspected from the beginning. His name is Michael Beard, and he was a former employee. So Michael Beard was working for Thomas Clayton, and Thomas Clayton had recently fired him. And it wasn't just a regular employee. Like, he was pretty close with the family. Like, he knew where they lived. This Thomas Clayton's house, something went wrong. He would pay him to come and fix it up on the side.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people are saying he did not take it well when he was fired. So the police are like, okay, well, let's bring him on in. And you know what? He's with his girlfriend right now. Let's bring on his girlfriend too, right? So they start questioning him. They're like, okay, Michael, you need to take a polygraph test, a lie detector test. Michael's sitting there taking the lie detector test, and he's literally failing every single question that is being handed to him that has anything to do with Kelly Clayton.
No.
If it has to do with him, he's passing with flying colors. Anything to do with Kelly Clayton, he is failing. He's being
lying.
deceitful. He's lying, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? It don't even matter, because his girlfriend next door is already telling everything to the police. So she tells the police, you know what happened really? Thomas Clayton had offered him $10,000 in cash to kill his wife and burn his house down.
With the kid?
No. The kids would have been with Kelly's sister.
That doesn't sound like what happened. And he's not the one that at the crime scene though. The kids say it was her father, no? Okay. Chew faster.
So then the police storm back into there, right? Where he just failed his lie detector test. And they go, listen, Michael, you're not that smart. Give it up. Your girlfriend already gave it up. What happened? We don't know if your girlfriend's telling the truth, but you're not telling the truth. So what the hell is going on? And everything starts to come apart. He says, listen, I was strapped for cash. I did this. He promised me $10,000. All I had to do was kill his wife, right? And then all I had to do was burn his shit on fire. And that would have helped him because he would have gotten her life insurance. He would have gotten insurance for the house, and he even asked me to burn down the car so he could get insurance money for the cars too. He just wanted to burn everything. And they're like, okay, but we have a couple of questions then. Why would you do it? And also, do you have any proof that he's paying you to do this? That it was murder for hire, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I have no proof. He said he was going to pay me the full 10 grand after the job was done. And so the police are like, oh my God, this guy, if this is true, he's an idiot, okay? They're really confused. So they go, okay, tell us more. They arrest Michael Beard. And the police still have a couple of unanswered questions that Michael really didn't help in answering. Nobody really did. And it's the fact that, why didn't he burn the house down? Is it because that Thomas Clayton told him that the kids would not be in the house, but they were in the house?
Yeah.
So he's someone, maybe he didn't like Kelly. Maybe he thought, okay, well, she's an adult. And then he just would not kill these 2 kids. I mean, I don't think anyone should. But is that why he didn't follow through with his plan?
Yeah.
Because this made it so open, right?
Yeah.
So it's just really confusing. He's arrested. What's his name? Thomas is already in jail. And it just becomes an absolute shit show in trial.
So it was Beard, Michael Beard.
Yeah.
Then why is the kid saying it was the father? Do they look alike?
Maybe they have the same color eyes. And people are thinking that maybe he let Michael borrow his clothes And they could prove this theory because Michael took them to where he threw out the little weapon that he was using, which was the handle of a sledgehammer, and all of his clothes with Kelly's blood all over it. And he had shown them exactly where he threw it out. So it's like he knew where these things were. They had been looking for this. They even drained an entire pond to look for these evidence, like the murder weapon, for things like this. They couldn't find it. And Michael just immediately took them there. Like, here it is. He wasn't even wandering. He wasn't stalling. So they were like, okay, obviously Michael is involved. And so then the court proceeds, right? And this is where it turns into a shit show. Michael is the first one up for first-degree murder. And when he gets on the stand to testify, the police were betting, dude, we have a signed confession. Shut and done, biz, right?
Yeah.
He goes up there and he goes, well, actually, the truth of what happened that day was I went over to their house to follow through on this job, but someone was already robbing them.
Honey, your eyelashes is kind of funny, actually. One is pointing forward, one is pointing upwards.
These are really old. I'm gonna get new ones tomorrow. I'll do better tomorrow.
Okay, sorry. I just
No,
noticed that.
it's fine. It's
after-
fine. I'll do better tomorrow.
You look great.
Michael says that he was just going over to Tom's house to burn down the house for insurance money, and that they were going to split the insurance money. There was no sign of murder. Kelly wasn't even involved. He was just burning the house down, right? And when he went there, Kelly was being murdered by a robber. That was his new story. But everyone's like, okay, but the prosecution is like, you're an idiot because you literally led us to the murder weapon and the clothes with Kelly's DNA on it. And then he
Yeah.
goes, okay, well, you know what actually happened? The robber handed me the murder weapon, and I was like, oh shit, well, obviously I gotta throw it away now. Because
Yeah.
now I touched it and it has my DNA on it.
And he doesn't know who the robber is.
Yeah, and the police are like, you sound like an idiot, okay? So he ends up getting prosecuted for guilty. I think he's spending the rest of his life in jail. He is planning on appealing the conviction, but who knows what will happen when this is just so screwed up. But it's not even about Michael. It's really about Thomas Clayton.
Yeah.
Okay? So the police are like, this sucks for us because Michael was the one star key witness to give all the details. Because without this, I mean, Thomas was at poker night.
Yeah.
Without this, how do we prove he wasn't? How do we
Yeah.
prove he had anything to do with this?
Correct.
Their main thing was cell phone locations. So they had pinged cell phones prior to what was happening, and then the night that it happened, they had pinged a call from Michael from the Miller's house using Mrs. Miller's phone.
Yeah.
And then the time of death, like he gave them the go call, the Michael. So it was like timing, right?
Yeah.
And it was suspicious phone calls. What did these two guys have to talk about? They had no, like, they didn't have an excuse of why they were
Yeah,
talking on
yeah,
the
yeah,
phone.
yeah.
And then there was other pieces of evidences. Someone
Yeah.
testified saying that, you know, like, I was briefly working with him when he was in the ice hockey field, and he had told me straight up that he wasn't happy in his marriage. And I said, dude, you're young, get a divorce. You could still, so many bitches love you. And he goes, no, here's the thing. If we get a divorce, Kelly would wipe my ass clean. She would take everything. She would take all my money. This bitch would be vicious in court. I can never divorce her. It's not an option. And then a couple women testified saying that they were having affairs with Thomas Clayton, saying, yes, we were doing it. You know what's even crazier? He always said that Kelly, I always asked him, why don't you leave your wife? And he would say, you know what? My wife is ungrateful and she's lazy and she's going to get all my money if we get a divorce. And they were like, what? And he even went to call his wife a bitch to his mistresses. With a hard TCH, bitch.
So okay. So the wife, I'm guessing wife knows this too, and they're putting up, or he's just really good at pretending it in front of the wife. And nobody had any idea.
No idea. So
He killed her because he doesn't want to get a divorce and give away his money.
yeah.
But are these like evidence though?
So that's what his defense was saying, that cheating is not evidence of killer, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he cheated. Yes, he said some shitty things. But haven't we all? But are we all murderers? That was the defense, right?
Yeah.
But it's really up to the jury because this is what was presented to them. The prosecution showed them evidence. The defense showed them evidence. Everybody showed evidence. Everybody gave their statements. And within 6 hours, the jury said he is absolutely 1,000% guilty. And they sentenced him for life in prison. he is also trying to appeal this case. He also doesn't want to stay in jail. He claims that he's innocent till this day. The children are actually being raised by Kelly's sister right now. And Charlie even, you know what's so sad? Like, people were saying, like, Charlie probably doesn't understand it yet, but when she does, it's not going to be a fun time.
Yeah, of course.
You know, because she might still be too young and in shock to realize, oh, I saw my mom get murdered, you know? Like, she might just, because the way that she says it on film, I was really creeped out because she said it so calmly. I was like, oh my God, you know that movie Orphan? I was
Yeah.
like, is this the movie Orphan? Did she kill her mom, you know?
Yeah.
Because it was just so like, yeah, he hit mommy, you know? It was so emotionless that, like, a lot of, like, the police officers and people who have worked on cases like this with children, they all say, like, once it catches up, like, your brain development, and then you realize the depth of what happened that night, it's not gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
So she's actually being raised by Kelly's sister, her aunt, and she wrote a letter to her dad, and in that letter she wrote, I love mommy and I still love my daddy, but he's a coward, or something like that. So the main question, right, I mean, there's very few people out there who think that they're not guilty, right? I'm not even going to entertain that. I think they're guilty. Biz, right? Even the court of law thinks they're guilty. Maybe it could be wrong. But I feel like in this situation, it's a really slim chance that it's wrong.
Yeah.
But the real question that people are asking is Michael Beard a victim too? In any way?
Is he a victim?
Yeah. So what
are you talking about? Like-
Kelly's sister was saying that, like, she doesn't want him to get out of jail. She doesn't want Michael
No.
Beard to walk free. But
No.
at the same time, she does feel like he's a victim too, because he would have done anything to put food on the table for his family.
That doesn't matter.
I know. But she was just saying, you know, and Thomas was someone who knew that about people, like, knows certain things about people and uses it against them.
Yeah, whatever.
So, you know,
just-
a lot of people are like, should Michael Beard be in jail as long as Thomas Clayton?
For killing someone? Yeah.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
is very true.
It doesn't matter how much I care about my family. I can't just destroy another family
Yeah.
because
That's
because
very
it's for
true.
my family.
Yeah. I think
So this is done. They're in jail.
yeah, but I think they're going to appeal and they're going to hear his case in April of this year.
Oh wow.
So in 2 months. So he's appealing and then trial is going to start in April. So let me know if you guys want me to do a follow-up. But personally, I believe that the conviction is going to stay. That's what a lot of people online are saying. That probably
ridiculous.
they're not going to take away the conviction.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see. I love you guys so much. Leave it in the comments what you guys thought about this case. Leave it in the comments which burger you would have enjoyed or if you like nacho cheese fries. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.